Hello, it's July 8th, 2021. It's a SIG Node CI subgroup meeting. Welcome, everybody. I will start sharing my screen. Okay. So, yeah, it was a short week for US because we had like Independence Day, but something was happening. Plus, we have a code freeze tomorrow. So I would assume that many people were reviewing PRs and trying to merge big ticket items into 122. So let's just go through agenda. Ilana, I think first two items for you. You pasted them.
Yeah, the first two items are both me. So because it's code freeze today, I have an item in here for the stuff that the release team has been tracking for CI signal. We should probably make sure that we look at all four of those tests, which they are saying are potentially release impacting. But the first item was a report on the node conformance tests from bringing it up at SIG Arch at the last SIG Arch meeting. So that was last week. And so we had an item on our backlog to discuss basically like, should we rename node conformance to CRI conformance? How do we define the scope? How can we better document this? And previously from like a Slack conversation, Dims has said, well, this is mostly about, ensuring that the various different CRI implementations all work with node things. And so I basically went to a SIG Arch meeting, and because a lot of the conformance folks were there, I asked them, like, does this sound accurate? Is this reasonable? Should we go ahead and rename them? And a lot of the sort of like original people who worked on the node conformance tests were at this meeting, and they were like, no, it is not merely a matter of CRI conformance. So specifically, everybody agreed that we should probably take conformance out of the name of these tests because conformance has a very specific meaning, and the fact that they have conformance in the name is confusing. But it is not merely limited to the CRI. And so I linked that old issue there, which was basically the original issue tracking when we added node conformance tests to begin with. And one of the things that was sort of discussed when we went through this was that, like, right now, running conformance suites require you to spin up an entire cluster. And there was a goal for the node conformance tests that, like, basically we would be able to run conformance tests that don't require a full cluster, that just require a kubelet. And so given that context, I think it's a little bit more complicated than just saying, oh, well, we've got these node conformance tests. They will check the CRI. Maybe we can call them CRI conformance or something like that. It is a little bit more complicated than that. And so I think basically we need to sit down as a SIG and discuss what we want the future of these tests to look like and write some documentation and possibly go and like do an inventory on them right now and see what tests require other components in order to work that don't just require a kubelet. So that's that item. And I don't know if the recording is published yet. I know SIG Arch is usually pretty fast at publishing them. But you may want to actually just watch the recording of the discussion from that meeting.
Makes sense. So it's basically to test some scenarios, kind of when you don't want to bring up entire cluster and still want to test what's happening.
Yeah, and I know that the conformance name has been very confusing because, from what I can tell, like and there's certainly not like conformance as in the Kubernetes conformance project, because that is really only focusing on like user-facing APIs, and a lot of the kubelet stuff is not that. The kubelet conformance tests are like checking, basically behaviors on a kubelet, which may or may not actually have anything to do with like outward-facing, like API things. So I think we basically just need to like go and look at all of the tests and decide, maybe look through some of the historical issues and decide what we want node conformance to be, and probably not call it node conformance.
Yeah, one thing about node conformance tests are run as a pre-submits. So if you want to, I mean, this is one of the reason to have a node conformance. So it's a basic set of tests that we want to have to be stable.
Yeah, so I think that we need to think of probably a better name for node conformance. And I know that we're also right now sort of going through all of our weirdly named node specific test selectors. So I think like now is probably the time when we go through, we say, okay, is this test in or out?
Was there any suggestion voiced for node
There were
conformance?
not. I mostly just got a bunch of historical context to take back that was different than what initially I had heard on Slack from DIMS. So, I mean, I think we still have the item going forward to, we need to improve the documentation around this. But I think the reason that the documentation hasn't been improved is because nobody's really in agreement on in terms of what node conformance means right now. So.
Yeah, I think we can get started with some very basic, like no alpha features kind of thing. Because from what I understand, like most of the tests are marked as not conformance. Most of the like primary tests, or the probe test, or the config test. Okay, I suggest action item. I think so. It's still on me. I'm
Yeah.
the item on me, so I will put something down and we can discuss.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think that's good. And mostly I just wanted to like bring you more information because I think that we were offering, we were working on incomplete information before. So now I think this has kind of gone from a, oh, this is like an easy thing. We just need to change the name and like update a few docs to, this is a bit of a refactoring project and sort of like, I think it aligns well with some of the work that we're already doing. So.
Yeah, specifically Mike doing like not features to feature renaming, right?
Yeah, and the next item, I don't think you need me for any of these. It's just mostly, I think these are the 4 like flaky tests that are being tracked right now for CI signal, and just making sure that we get an update on all of them. I think that the test freeze is next Wednesday, so we've still got a little bit more time even after code freeze today to keep looking at these.
Yeah, for this one, I just looked at the recent failures, and most of them happen after like 8 to 10 seconds. So if we just increase the delay to 15, then we might cut. It will not solve the issue, right? But it will flake less often.
Are there any correctness issues with increasing it to 15, or like did we pick the threshold such that it's going to be fine?
No, yeah, I thought it was going to be fine, but
okay. The reason I ask is because that was what I did for when I put together the probe tests, like for the liveness probes. I basically like went and ran a loop for an hour and like did the math on, you know, the things that were potentially flaking and whatnot, and I picked the threshold such that they still demonstrated correctness, but the test basically never flaked. Like even in the worst case scenario, if like things raced in a way that it was the slowest possible thing, it still demonstrated the correct behavior, but the test wasn't like flaking because things were too slow. So if there's no risk of like a correctness issue, I would say, yeah, increase the thresholds. We may have just not written the test in a very good way, which is fine. Like,
yeah. I still think if the thing from Clayton merge, it will reduce the time to propagate the status. But yeah, I suggest we just do that.
Take both. And I think that I mean, I hope that Clayton's thing merges. I don't know what the definitive answer is on that. Just because there are so many bugs like this one that one is going to address. But I think that it's also probably a good thing to just increase the threshold, because there could still be in the weird race condition like happens and we get it really slow this one time and the test fails.
Yeah, I wonder what does it mean for the product. Like if we cannot write a test that will ensure that one startup probe succeeds, like container is ready. Is it actually not ready in many cases in production, or it's just like our test environment is so bad that it's too slow and no production environments will ever experience this problem?
The thing is, locally, as with the current master, I cannot make it fail. So I just have to rely on the CI and then try to understand what's going on, because locally on kind it never fails. So it's very weird.
Do you understand why? Like, what is slow? What will need extra 15 seconds?
Yeah, I think it's the propagation of the status between you have the container status and then the pod status, and then we propagate everything. So my guess is maybe we run like many tests in parallel, and we have like, I don't know, the plague that is like overloaded or something, and it takes more time to propagate. That's my guess.
I haven't looked at this one specifically, but I know with like the probe termination grace period seconds, I mean, sometimes it's just a matter of, for the startup probe, I think it's a little bit different since that one is only really probing at the beginning of the container's life cycle. But at least for the termination grace period seconds, like it was basically possible for, if you timed it really, really poorly in terms of the interval, depending on when the jitter hit, and then also like basically another random startup for the worker, and then like when the first failure hit, it could potentially sometimes take up to like, I think basically 2x the test period to fail or something like that, for given the threshold. So it may be a similar thing here. So, one might intuitively write the test to be, okay, well, I will make it like 1.5 times the threshold, and that's not enough.
Okay, so because of jitter and like.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
so I will prepare a PR and then yeah, try to have it merged by next week. Okay.
Thank you. Francesco. Okay, no updates here. Does anybody else wants to take a look?
Who's assigned to this one?
It's Francesca.
Okay.
Not on the call.
He gave a bunch of updates. I don't know if he's busy. We might want to reassign that one.
Sorry. Yeah, does anybody else wants to take a look?
Like I can take a look, but not on the week, like, and probably not on the next week. Yeah, like a lot of stuff around here.
Let's leave this one with Francesco if we don't have any volunteers that have obvious free time, and I can see if I can find someone to take it.
Okay. But yes, another one on you.
Yeah, so just look at the, I think I have a PR for this one.
That one was only failing on like very specific jobs, so.
Yes. Actually, it fails on one specific job all the time. So for this one, I added just a log to see the status of the pod when it fails. And then on the other one, I added a retry because in the in many tests we have this retry thingy when we apply. The resource has been updated before we submit, so there is like a retry mechanism. You can see better if you ignore white spaces, because I have like a bunch of code that was just put inside the
It's under the gear.
Yeah, in the gear, yeah.
Oh,
In the middle.
oh yeah, much easier. Okay. So it's already assigned to somebody, but I don't think Paco may be replying. Oh, okay. So one OGTM already here. So it needs approval, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's already in the need approval. Okay. And by the way, the next 2 weeks are going to be on vacation, but I will still try to be reachable. And then I will ask SIG Node if I can become reviewer/approver in the tests, because nobody's looking at them. So it's really impeding us.
It can be great, but yeah. Have good vacation. I just dropped my notebook during the vacation because like it makes me crazy when I'm together with kids, and also I need to check emails and stuff like this. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Artyom, do you have an update on this one?
Yeah, I think Lana tried to ping someone if you will check below, but we still don't have any answer. So again, from my perspective, it's like looks like some C advisor problem because currently our CI is running with the C advisor, not with like runtime stuff.
Oh, was this the one where I said I was going to update it with the OpenShift bug because it looked like an OpenShift bug that I had seen?
Yeah, exactly. You said something like this, but
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see a note in there on that, but I know what this is talking about.
I think David. Okay. C advisor bug. And this is flaky, right? It's not like failing all the time.
Yeah, it's flaky.
Yeah, it's the worst kind of bugs. Okay, I will ping David in case he has some ideas. Yeah, and finally on the board, I already triaged a few items that just added them to the board. We only have 3 that doesn't have a C, and one of them is swap.
So that one was a failing test, but it doesn't affect any of the pre-submits.
Yeah, it's a serial, right? And dynamic config left. Okay. Yeah, send it to me. I'll take a look. Swap. So Ike, you mentioned Ike, right? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, apparently it needs a rebase already. I submitted this one yesterday. Mostly, I was just looking to add periodic jobs for kubelet swap stuff now that it's merged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you need to rebase.
Yeah. As of 4 hours ago, apparently. So I'll go and take a look.
Thank you. So yeah, I will ping Ike, but anybody else wants to take a look? I think it's some
Ike isn't an org
right?
member, so yeah, I'll need somebody else to LGTM and approve it. I just renamed the jobs to all be consistently named, and
Okay, I'll take a look as well, but I really want Ike to take a look as well. Node end-to-end test for ephemeral containers. Okay. Any takers? So ephemeral containers is going to alpha, right? Or what? Beta, maybe.
I can take a look.
Okay. Okay. Okay, we assigned everything. Just quickly take a look at what needs approver. Yeah, still. Okay. This seems to lose LGTM. I cannot type. Okay, I'll put it into init reviewer. So this one is interesting. Like Paco following up on some pull request. I reviewed it yesterday, and in this test, it used to wait for events. So here, it used to wait for events and expect no events. Like where is it? Oh yeah, this one. Wait for events and expect no events, and then check for pod being pod is gone. So it's changed to wait for events, and now event supposed to come. But the problem is that we have an issue that saying that events are highly unreliable on tests, and there are many cases when events just wouldn't show up. So tests not supposed to fully rely on events ever. And this is a comment I made. And yeah, flake is the test case yet. Yeah, I don't know whether we want to take it and see whether it flakes. But I think we know already that many tests that rely on events will eventually start flaking, just because events are highly unreliable. Okay, I will follow up on that.
Is it the case in like a real world clusters that we lose events?
Oh yeah, on high throughput systems, like when you have a lot of pods and many events, they start like there are a whole bunch of throttlings being kicked on, and you can start losing events.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, events are lossy. So I mean, you may have seen, for example, the kubelet tries to like, it has an event manager and it tries to like send events. And like, for example, if there's a network partition or something like that, the kubelet may retry a few times, but like it may give up trying to sync an event if you've been working on particular kubelet issues. Now, granted, like I know a lot of folks still rely on events, but like there needs to be a fallback if they failed to sync for some reason. So.
Okay.
And there's also
but normally it's only on tests. We never rely on events in the states of the pods or anything. I hope.
Not that I know of. I think some monitoring systems may rely on them, but we don't. And there's also a bunch of throttling is enabled. So events has this hash that calculated out of them, and if hash matches, then kubelet may decide to start throttling this hash of events. So yeah. is highly unreliable on like when there is a big load of them. So on tests, they're not reliable. And the interesting thing is that the test used to rely on no events will come, and even if events are unreliable and just didn't show up, the test will still go forward, right? So the change of tests that start relying on existing no events is troublesome. So this one also lost LGTM, and it's on Umichi. LGTM again. Okay, I will put it in needs reviewer, but I think something going on there. So soon it will go back to needs approver. Yeah, I think we have plenty of things that. Wait, needs approver. Yeah, plenty of things that needs approver. I will maybe ping SIG Node channel asking for somebody to take a look.
And probably we have some pretty urgent bug fix for the dynamic kubelet configuration that like it was set to deprecated, and so like a lot of our serial lanes started to fail, like memory manager, CPU manager, topology manager. They all started to fail because it failed to parse the deprecated version for the for the feature, and it already have some fix, and it's already look good to me. But we need approval for it. Like it's pretty urgent. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I will be interested to take a look, but I cannot approve. So can you pass the link in the chat?
I think that's the fixed resource metrics end-to-end test.
Yeah,
The one second from the top and needs approver. Next one.
No, I think it's a different one, but I will just copy paste the link. Just give.
Sorry, that's the only one that I knew that was like urgent.
Too many
this
tabs.
one was here for a long time, but deprecation of dynamic config happened yesterday. It was merged yesterday. So
there was something that like became
overnight.
A failing test really recently, where like all of the tests are failing versus flaking. And this is specifically because they changed the way that the timestamp in these tests were working.
Okay.
And I guess that those end-to-ends didn't get exercised in the PR where they made the change. So I think that one's a separate thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Artyom. This is a PR. Kubernetes panic. Oh, okay. I wonder. Okay. Okay. So last item here is oh yeah, two more. Right. This one is we just discussed. Francesca, can you join? So pod readiness flake. He acknowledged like PR that we discussed wanted to reassign. He's saying that he wants some help. Okay, if anybody will have time, maybe I don't know whether we'll get to it this week. Okay. Any more agenda items for today? Okay, then I'll stop sharing. Ilana, do you want to go to board triage?
I don't know if I have the energy to do that today, mostly just because of
morning.
code freeze. Is there anything that like is not, should we do like a sweep for things for code freeze? Like,
Yes,
I'm not sure what
think
the state of features are.
if you need help from some people here for code freeze, at least I can help.
Yeah, I feel like the problem right now is not like reviewers. The problem is like blocking on approvers. But here, let me very quickly share my screen. I think we should keep this on the recording. And let me just take a quick look at the board.
I did a +1 on your PR to get one more approver, but
yeah, I haven't heard anything about that.
And I spoke to Bob Killen as well about this. He knows, and he spoke to Dawn the other day. So it might move.
We shall see. Okay, let me just quickly. Oh, Sergey, can you give me co-host so I can share my screen?
Done.
Thank you. And hopefully this is the right tab. I have 2 of them open. Okay. Good. So as you can see, we've got like 42 things, I think, right now that need approver. And so let me make sure that those are all accurate. Yeah, looks that way. 43 things that need approver. So like all of the ones out here. Never mind. Here's another one. So as you can see, we got a lot of things that need approvers right now, and there's some stuff that still needs review. I think I've just been focusing in terms of like anything else that needed review. I'm only looking at stuff that are like critical, urgent, or important soon. And this one is a Windows thing, so I looked at it, but I couldn't really do anything with it. Like I think the Windows people need to LGTM it, and if they need an approval from Node, they should ask us. In terms of important soon stuff, there's also not a lot of stuff here. Paco mentioned this one, this disable the kubelet read-only port by default. I think we need an approver on that one. So if somebody wants to take a look at that, that would probably be good.
Yeah, I think this one is controversial because it may break some scenarios. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was part of the concern. And I know, I think a couple of these are related to KEPs that we're trying to land. So if we get eyes on those as well, that would be great. But other than that, I don't think that anything else on this list is like, I think all of these are just, for the most part, I'm not sure what's going on with this one, but this one is controversial. And I think the rest of these are all related to KEPs. So they definitely need eyes, but we're really just blocked on approvers right now. So.
Usual.
I think that's I haven't actually checked to see if there's more stuff to add to the board that we've missed, but I think it's just, yeah, adding people to approvers and reviewers. So all of our PR should be on the board. And I think a bunch of these have even been, it looks like it was triaged.
Yeah, I noticed that even one with LGTM, if you're interested to take a look, it helps to have second look on some PRs because you leave some comments and then it will be easier for approvers just to make a final decision.
So yeah, I think it's just a matter of we need approvers to take a look at stuff today. I have been trying to, I have approver on one file that is relevant to Node. I can do feature approvals. So I've been trying to make sure that for a lot of our KEPs that we want like another set of eyes on for approval. I've been going through and double checking basically like the stuff related to anything with package features, which is actually a lot of work because you have to make sure that they've met all of the KEP criteria in order to make changes to feature flags. So you've got to go back and read all the graduation criteria, and then I just kind of go and check off my list. But yeah, as far as like stuff that needs Node or stuff that needs API reviews, there's still quite a lot of stuff on the backlog. So just make sure that folks are aware, make sure that they're looking at stuff that's marked important soon, critical, urgent, especially, and hopefully we'll get as much stuff merged as possible.
Lana, do you remember you wanted to follow up with with contributing country backs SIG on needs rebase to be applied automatically fast without the need for comment.
Oh yeah, so I did follow up on that one. That was actually a SIG testing thing, and it was supposed to be fixed quite a long time ago. There was basically an issue with like GitHub API throttling, and so they made like some sort of change that should have fixed it. And for a while, it was relatively fixed. So if the label is not being applied right now without having to comment on things to like basically kick the bot, then feel free to reopen that issue because that was quite a long time ago. I think it was on the
I noticed it yesterday that after my comment, it applied need review or need rebase syntax. So I thought it's not fixed. So at times like that, it's extremely important because it helps to detect something faster.
I'm trying to see. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I'll show you I'll link the issue in the chat for the notes. And if you want to reopen this and say, oh, it's still a problem again, feel free. But it was closed at some point. And the issue was that there was basically the GitHub search size limit was too big, and they were having some issues with pagination and API throttling. So
yeah, maybe now it's a problem again because everybody's doing something. So many things happening. Okay. I think we're done for the day then.
Sounds good.
Yeah, unfortunately, nobody from APAC showed up. Let's keep it doing once a month, and if it won't work, we can try something new.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's like, the day before code freeze there, so they were all pooped because it's the end of their day, or I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, let's maybe the other thing too, we might be able to set up like a reminder or something like that. That might help.
Yeah, I cannot remind everybody much earlier than 8 a.m.
No, but we can set up Slackbot to do it.
So maybe Slack can help.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I don't have anything else.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.